One of the ways I've been able to be so successful in my business is working on my money mindset. Now, I totally get if people think that's crazy junk science, and like I did too, honestly. Honestly, part of me still kind of does, to be honest, but it works. And so I don't care if it's a placebo effect, I'm going to keep doing it because it massively helped me with my business. I was able to make over 5 times the amount in 2023 that I made in 2022, which is insane to me. Like, that's so cool. And I did all of that without like a bunch of business coaches and I don't know what, like spending 90% of the revenue just trying to like make things work. So I want to show you exactly how I do it because I'm setting up my spreadsheet for the new year. Now, I posted about this in my Facebook group. It's a free group, SEO for travel bloggers. Anyone is welcome to join. I should probably change the name of it at some point to reflect that. But anyone can join it. And in there, I posted about how I am starting my brand new finance tracking spreadsheet for the year. I do this for my business. I don't do this for my personal life, to be honest. I don't want to know how much I'm spending on dog treats and stuff every month. But you could definitely do a version of this for your personal life as well. All you need is a Google sheet. You can use an Excel sheet. I don't care. Pick what you want. And then we just need to start, and I always do this first, but we need to make our like demo month essentially. So up here at the top, we're going to put month, and that's going to be our starting point. I should be able to zoom in on this, shouldn't I? Or how do I zoom you? One sec. Okay, it was right in front of my face. My bad. So you're first going to put month at the top. And we're going to end up duplicating this over the rest of the year, but that's why I find having like a demo of it that we can then just copy and paste later is a lot easier. So then here you're going to start putting in all of your different revenue sources. And these are probably going to change over the year. You're going to get new things, you're going to remove things. I mean, there are affiliates I worked with at the beginning of last year that closed down, so I no longer work with them. There are new ones that I started using. It just kind of depends. So I usually kind of like rule of thumb, leave about 20 spaces for these, even if I only have like 3 to start with or something. So for me, the first thing I know that I'm going to have are my Raptive ads, which I have on 2 sites. Now you can separate those out per site. You could just put them all in a bulk kind of thing here. I don't care. It's up to you. However you want to manage your money, it's fine by me. So just set it up so that you're basically tracking everywhere you get money. Now, if your business is like a sole proprietorship, then technically like everything you do that makes you money is a part of this. And you could have separate ones for different business entities for your blog versus your freelancing. I just put it all together at this point. Like, I just do my blog, so that's fine. But it's up to you. So let's just say we have Raptive ads. Let's just pick like a couple different affiliates. I'm going to put travel ones because those are the ones I'm most familiar with. Discover Cars, travel payouts. So when it's a network of something like travel payouts, I bundle them all together because my use of travel payouts, I only use it for a couple things here or there that I'm not on their direct affiliate, typically because I don't use them often enough. So for me, like, okay, the couple hundred I make a month can just go in here and I don't have to then separate it out by it's like, okay, 4 cents from this affiliate for ferries, $3 for trains. Like, I just don't want it to be too crazy. And because it all reports in one area, that just makes it easy for me. So maybe stay 22. Oops, that's too many twos. Whatever. Then I would start breaking it down by like Thrivecart for my courses. I would go through to maybe like my email sponsors. Basically, anywhere you're making money, you're just going to list them out here. And then this column is going to actually be the dollar amount that you're going to get. So I just pre-format it as currency and then we're good to go. I'm going to do 10. So we're just like in this smaller window, I guess. So let's make number 11 our total. And I like to bold it. You don't have to, up to you. And then over here, we're going to just do a quick formula. So it's sum. And then we just want it to be the values of all of the affiliates. So let's say it's like 2 to 10. There we go. And so now anytime you change these over the course of the month, it's going to auto adjust the ones below. I'm sure a number of you guys know that, but some people don't. So I want to just whatever level you're at. But now this is the important part. At the bottom, I put my goal, and that is going to be my yearly goal income amount. This way I am looking at it all the time. So let's say your goal is $100,000. So we have 100,000. I'll format it as currency in a second. Then I'm going to put to go beneath it. And this is going to be the amount that you have remaining to reach that goal. So it's going to be this amount, so equal, and then click on whatever that total was, or like the goal amount, minus whatever your total is. And so because we have no money we've made yet, we still have to make 100,000. But once I have 20, you'll see it auto adjusts. And so it's going to just keep doing this for us, which is really nice and easy, so that I can keep seeing how I'm chipping away at that. But our goal amount, I'm not saying $100,000 in a month here. I'm saying over the year. So I also want to have my monthly goal somewhere. Now for me, I just put it over here. I don't know why. This is like where I like it. You could put it all vertically if you want to. You could even put these beside this, whatever you want. I don't care. Make it up for yourself. But beside it, I'm going to put a monthly goal. And then I set whatever amount I want to make that month. So let's say this month you want to do $10,000. Great. Then we're going to, again, have the to go. You can do equals or not. I don't know why I put an equal sign there. But then we would do equals $10,000 minus our total. And so then I'm also going to see, okay, how much more do I need to be making this month to hit my goal? And I think that's really important. That way, first of all, you're seeing a lower goal, because seeing just 100,000 feels way too daunting to most people. It did to me even a year ago. And I would just stop. I was like, that's just not going to happen. So having it broken down a bit smaller is more helpful, I find, and just makes it a little bit less scary. Now, from here, you want to basically have 12 of these. So you're going to duplicate this sheet 12 times. I'm just going to do it once, that way we're not here for forever. But if we duplicate it once, I then go back and now we're going to start changing out these months. So we have January, we do the next one is February. I don't do any special formatting to like make it pretty. You can if you want to. I am very function over fashion as a person, so I just leave it this way. And then over here we'll have February. There we go. And then I also want to change the name of the sheet itself to January and February. And this is for something we're going to do after, but also just at a glance, it's easier to see them. Okay, so now you'll notice there's a little bit of a problem here because our February sheet is only calculating the reduced amount from our goal, like the to-go amount, based on what we've earned in February, but we've already earned money in January. So we actually need to adjust this now. So what we have is our goal amount minus the monthly total, but we also need to minus the last month's total. So we're going to go back to January, and then we're going to click on the total here. And here you can see it goes January, exclamation point, B11. And that's why we rename it, because then going forward, you can just manually type this in instead of needing to click between things. So for March, it'll be B13 minus B11 minus January, exclamation point, B11 minus February, exclamation point, B11. And it just kind of creates an easy template to go off of that's going to save you some time and effort. So you can see, like in January, let's say you do $1,000. Great, now we're at 99,000. But if we do 500 here, now we're at 98,500. So just doing this kind of tracks it across the months. You can see the monthly goal, we still just want this month. The total, we still just want this month's total, but we want to have kind of our overall goal as well at the bottom so we can see that we're chipping away at it. Now, again, you can move these around on the page as you want to, totally up to you. This is just how I do it, function over fashion. And then you're just going to keep duplicating the last month, essentially. That way you already have it with like January written out, and then we're going to have February, and then you just kind of keep going that way. So you can even do this before you change the month over at the top, because otherwise you're going to have to keep deleting it. I don't know. Doesn't matter that much to me to take the extra second, so up to you. You can even, if you're a bit lazier like I often am, I won't do all 12 right now. I'll just start with like this month's, and then next month I'll duplicate it and then go through. I don't really know why. I think it's just pure laziness, but this is also like 2023 was the first full year I did this. Now, once you have your months set up, however many you're going to do so far, you then need a new sheet. And this is going to be a blank sheet. And this is going to be our total income sheet. So this is going to have all of the money we're going to make for the month or for the year. And we want to have this summarized. So we're going to do months, and then you're just going to list them out: January, February, March, whatever. And then beside them, you want to have the total for that month. So equal sign, click over to January, and then we're going to click total here. and enter. So now you can see it's going to be your January B11 total. And so from that, because now we know which one it is, and once I know, I'll just copy it and I can paste it and then just change this out to February. I didn't mean to double click that, whatever. There we go, B11. And you can see it's going to like auto input all of them for us, which is great. I don't know why that's staying yellow, but whatever. And then at the end, so it'd be 13 because we're going to have 12 months. Or no, it's going to be 14 because we have the one at the top. We're going to have total down here. And this is going to be another one of those sum functions. So we're going to sum, and then we want to have the sum of all of the income from all 12 months. So now I can see what I've made for the full year. And then below that again, we're going to have goal, and we're going to put whatever our goal is, so 100,000, I think it was, to go. And then we're going to just subtract, so equals this amount minus our total. And there we go. Now we have like an ongoing tracking system. Now for me, because I'm Canadian, I like to have a Canadian version of this, so I put a CAD equivalent beneath it. And what I do essentially is every single month, I will find out the average conversion rate for the month, and I tend to go with the lowest one I can find because I would rather be pleasantly surprised. And then every month beneath these goals, I'll have like my Canadian total, so like CAD total, basically. And then I just take the US total and I multiply it by whatever amount I found online was the average for that month. This just like helps me keep track of it because like I pay taxes in Canada, so I need to have an idea of what I'm spending in Canada after the fact. So this just makes it a bit easier. So let's say it's like, I don't know, I don't remember what one of the recent rates was. I think it was like 0.37 or something. No, it would have been 1.37. I don't remember. I just copied off Google. There we go. I know it's more. So yeah, it'd be 1 point something. So let's say that's an amount. And then that's kind of nice too, because it's like, oh, look, more money. So I do like having that somewhere. If you don't have to change the currency, then just skip that. Even if you like don't care about the change in currency, that's fine too. I just like to have it there for myself. Now, one thing that I do beside it is in column D, I tend to put ideas for more income. And this is where I can list all of my crazy ideas, all of the things that I may potentially want to work on. Things like if I know I'm planning to open coaching in a certain month, if I know that I plan to do a launch in a certain month, if I don't know, you know that your destination gets a lot more traffic at a certain period, then you can mentally be like, okay, well, my Mediavine income is going to triple that month, that sort of a thing. This is just where you can put those ideas. You can also put like extra ideas of things that you, yeah, might create at some point. You're like, oh, well, maybe I'll make that ebook. Maybe I'll do this. And that can help you when you're having one of those months that's just a little bit lower to be like, okay, well, this month was only $1,000. I wanted it to be $10,000. I've got 2 weeks left. What can I do? And that's where you can come to this ideas for more income and then pick something. So I literally did this in December. I was not as close as I wanted to be to my end of the year goal. My goal for the year was $500,000 USD. And to be clear, because people did ask me about this, I factor out affiliate income that I've paid out to other people. If I factored that in, I hit the goal basically. I was very close to it, which is pretty amazing to be honest, and cool that I got to pay out that much to other people. Like I that's okay. I wouldn't have. I think it would have been like 480. Like I wouldn't have been that close, I guess, but close for me. That's pretty cool. So my actual income was over $410,000. I'm still waiting for the dust to settle on that with like if some affiliates are gonna kind of bow out or something. Before I post that the official rundown, I always like to be as concrete as I can. Um, but I was at like 398 or something, and so I really wanted to have more money in my direct bank account. And this is the thing too, is I calculate that amount and what I share publicly based on what's in my bank account for the year. Each month I do it kind of with affiliates and things like that. And the problem is you don't always get that money immediately. I have plenty of affiliates with like $1,000, $2,000 in there, and I don't get that money immediately, which kind of sucks. So I don't factor that into my yearly total until I get paid it. And with course stuff, I factor that in because I know that money is mine. So it's a bit easier that way. But yeah, so I ran a flash sale because I was like, hey, I would like to push this a little bit closer. I'd like to hit 400 for sure. And my ad income was being wonky. So I was like, well, don't know if I'm going to hit it there either. Let's just do a flash sale. And then that helped massively with me making more money for the year and got me to my total, which is amazing. So this is kind of where the idea moment comes in of like, okay, I definitely want to do these things. I don't want to do these things. It also helps if you're like, okay, you could even have what I did this year is I did like a planned income section where it was like I knew I had a speaking gig I was getting paid for, but it wasn't until October. So I was like, well, that money will come to me, but I don't have it yet. But I can factor it in mentally out of the goal amount for sure. And so then I had like planned income and then goal after planned income. And doing all of this, I know it seems a bit tedious, and it kind of is. But once you set up this page, really, this one kind of just runs on its own. But it just makes you look at your income constantly. And I'm someone who's afraid of money, and this really makes me actually pay attention to it. So then this will be our income sheet. And then we're going to create an expenses sheet. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. Oops, expenses. There we go. And the problem is if you are not tracking your expenses, and I get they're scary, I get that you're often in negatives, especially for the first few years blogging. Like my negatives were insane for quite a while, to be honest. And the problem is if you're not tracking it though, you don't know what you're spending money on. And you also don't know then to look to see if that thing is kind of returning the investment. So this is where I go through, and I don't do this every day, the way that like I add my income every single day. I check everywhere that I can, and I add them to the spreadsheet. Now, for expenses, I'm not doing that every day because I don't typically spend money in my business every single day. I guess I kind of do because I tend to make a sale every day and I have to pay Stripe a fee, but I can just check that at the end of the month and then add in the total fee that I'm paying. So over here, what I'm going to do essentially is go through and try to be as exact as I can about what I'm spending money on. So I will factor it out per freelancer. I don't just put all freelance writers. I will go through and put courses or tools, everything that I have purchased. So I know how much did I spend, and seeing it kind of in the same way that seeing the income like inspires you, this kind of terrifies you. I'm not going to lie. It kind of sucks to stare at what you're spending money on in its face, but then it makes you consider like, should I be spending money on that thing? And I do think that's an important thing to do because like I have a minor addiction to AI tools and like AppSumo sort of things. And my problem is like I will often buy them and then just not touch them for a while. And I'll be like, okay, but I'm still paying for that thing. Or I already paid for that thing and I'm not using it. Or even courses. How many of us have a course that we bought and we don't use? Or we just like never bothered to take it. If I see it here, I'm like, right, I spent that money. I need to go do that thing. And this is a good way to kind of like manage your spending as well, but also to cut your expenses. So the way that I format this is pretty simple. I just put like expense name, expense name, and then I'll put the date paid because I do think that's important, especially if it's like a recurring subscription or something. But it's also important if it's like an invoice versus when you paid for a freelancer and things like that. Back when I was like working in a law firm, that mattered for disputes. And although I've been very fortunate never to have a dispute with someone that I work with in this sort of a way, you just want to make sure you have records of stuff just in case. So yeah, just putting it there. If it's an invoice, I always attach a link to the invoice. Like I put them in a Google Doc or a Google Drive because then I send it to my bookkeeper at the end of the year and then they deal with everything for me. And then I'll have the total paid. And then if you pay in different currencies, I would put currency here and then make sure you have that factored in. Or even put like total paid USD and then have the real currency that you actually paid in on the other side. And then here you're just going to go through and add in the information. Now, this one, I start small. So I would put a total like kind of down here. And then we'd have again some, but we're likely going to have to expand the sheet. And I kind of expect that. So whenever you need to add more, you just right click over here and then you would click insert one row above or below. I usually do below, and then you just add a bunch as you need more rows essentially. So not too hard to do, but I don't want to put this at like row 1,000 first day of the month. That would be, or first day of the year. That'd be a lot. I also don't really want to pay for 1,000 things in the year. But yeah, this helps me see what am I spending money on and is it worth it? And especially if you've upgraded or changed a service to something that's more expensive, you can then see, okay, well, what was the return of that thing? And if the return was not equal to or greater than, and it's been more than 6 months, probably worth backtracking. So, for example, like I'm running a test right now between ConvertKit and MailerLite, and ConvertKit is significantly more expensive. And so I'm trying to see, okay, well, from this switch, has this actually either made my life easier, therefore saving me money with my VA, or time wasted and hours wasted? Because to me, like, time is money, so that matters. Um, or is this just costing more for a couple bells and whistles that aren't actually doing anything for me or didn't actually, yeah, make my life easier in any way? And if at the end of that experiment, I'm only a couple months in so far, I go, no, that changed nothing, I'm going to switch back and I'm going to save that money. It's also how I realized some tools I wasn't using every single month. So, for example, like Jasper and ChatGPT, I use all the time. But when I was traveling for 6 months road tripping, I had like the worst Wi Fi. So, I barely had enough Wi Fi to like email my mom to be like, hey, I'm in Yellowstone National Park, I'm fine. So, I wasn't using them then. So what I did is I turned one off at a time. I always kept one on because like when I would get Wi-Fi, I'd want them, but I would just like unsubscribe from one for a month and then go back in after. Now, this was fortunately before ChatGPT started hitting their like wait list and limits. Now I wouldn't recommend doing that, as you might get then waitlisted. But with Jasper, they actually have like you can pause it for a month as you want to. So I do that every once in a while when I know there's a month that I'm not going to be working on that thing. When I took my month off in September, I paused a lot of tools, like even Rank IQ. I was like, hey, I'm not going to use this for the month. I'm not here. And they were like, yeah, no worries. So doing stuff like that can work very well as well to lower your total expenses. But another thing actually is, and this doesn't hasn't happened to me yet really, but this could be an issue. When you get to the point where you're not spending enough, and it actually is bad for you that you're paying more taxes when you could have more write-offs for purchasing things. And that's where you can look here and then again see, okay, how much is your total expenses? And you can either click over to the income area, or down here you can say like, I think it's gross profit is the right word. I just put profit really. I don't really understand net or gross. Every single time I read it, I'm like, I get it now, and then I forget. We'll just do equal, come over here, and we want our to-go amount, or pardon me, not our to-go amount, our total amount. Jesus, my bad. We want our total amount here, and then we're going to subtract that. There we go. And then we're going to subtract our expenses from it. That's going to show us, okay, how much have we made, subtracted how much we've spent. This is how much is left. And it is okay if that is negative for a while. Honestly, like mine, I'm glad I didn't do this back when it would have been negative because I would have just quit, because that would have been quite scary for me. But like the second I did this, even like last year, and I could see really like where things were coming from, it massively changed it for me. So it actually probably would have been good for me, but I'm very afraid of spending money. I hate spending money. So it would have freaked me out. So if you're at that stage, maybe don't do the profit area then. But I do think tracking it's super important, and tracking it day to day is vital. I know it seems weird or it can suck, but honestly, it's going to inspire you so much because you're going to get frustrated by those days of no income or lower income, and you're going to be able to spot when things go wrong or when something isn't quite working. I figured out because I took like a week of just like mental health leave essentially, came back to work, looked at my Raptive for She Knows SEO that had just gotten onto Raptive, and I was like, wait, those like that amount is way too low for what it should be for the page views I'm getting. And so I wrote them and we figured out that one of my settings, I usually don't put ads on pages. The problem is on that site, a lot of things are categorized as pages that get a lot of traffic, and they're not traditionally a page, I guess. So they could have been a post. And I was like, well, damn it, we got to put ads on those pages. And I wouldn't have realized that if I wasn't checking. So if I didn't check till the end of the month, that would have been an extra like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks that I would have been quote unquote losing money. Now, it definitely was not a massive amount of money to me at that point, especially because like that site got into Raptive at 30,000 page views because it's the second site. So it's not making like, I don't know, thousands a month off of it or anything, but definitely going from like $10 a day to $50 a day was a pretty nice bump. I definitely wanted that change. So that is something definitely to consider with like checking things daily. Same for your affiliates. You'll notice if someone is canceling something more often, if something isn't converting as well. These are all reasons that we check these things every day. So if you haven't created one of these yet, I tried to talk a fair amount so you guys could like duplicate things as we were going. But if you haven't created yours yet, I really do recommend taking a minute to make your spreadsheet for the year. I have mine just pinned up in my like, what is this called? The bookmarks bar, I guess. So I can go in and check it every day. set a time when it's like that is the time you do it. For me, it's the first thing I do every day when I'm like settling into my desk and I have like my tea or my latte. I sit down and I just do a quick check of income from all of my sources. I know where they are. I can grab them really easily. And then I can see, okay, what's happening and what's going on? How close am I to my goals and things like that? And if I'm getting nowhere near them, I need to change something. And that can help me pivot a lot to try different things. It's also how I realized certain things weren't working. Like I spent way too much money last year on a Facebook ad company and Facebook ads to like run them to my business. And they just like were dead in the water. Honestly, like, they did not work. I'm not a fan. And I think that is to do with like, that's not my preferred way of selling. So I'm sure I was like resistant to it as well. Like, I just don't, I don't know. I don't like it. I didn't like it. It didn't work. And so for me, like, that wasn't something I wanted to keep doing. And I definitely let it drag out a little bit longer than I needed to. But once I checked my expenses of like how much was I spending on this thing that wasn't doing anything for me, I was like, no, I'm out. I'm done. Don't want to do this. Like, I should not be paying for this. And so I canceled it. And that's something that you can 100% do, and figure out that like a service or a type of thing you're doing in your business isn't working for you, then stop it. That's totally fine. Obviously, give it a minute to work. Nothing is instantaneous. Like, I'm not saying like hire a Pinterest manager and then fire them after a day when you're not miraculously viral yet or something. Don't do that. But like, do be considerate about what is worth your time, what is worth your money, and also like consider cheaper alternatives. Like, I go with Thrivecart, and sure, there's a glitch every now or then. Pretty rare to be honest, and I think like they had a couple more this year because they switched owners for a minute, but like they're incredibly inexpensive compared to other tools. And so I can save a lot more. And for the 2 days of the year where I have glitches that happen, I'm okay with that. That's fine by me. So just like factor that stuff in as well. And that can even help you cut your expenses. So I hope this was helpful to y'all. This was kind of impromptu based on people asking in my Facebook group about like if they could see what my spreadsheet looks like or like how to set it up. This is how I do it. And then I just adjust throughout the year. Like sometimes, yeah, like, okay, maybe I decide I don't want to work with a rental car company anymore. So I switch this out to something else. Or I'll just leave it blank until I find something else later, but I do try to keep them all the same length for those like easy kind of transfers over of the totals. Um, yeah, and then it just also puts my goals in front of me every single day. So that first thing in the morning, I'm also starting my day kind of subconsciously looking at my goal amount to see, okay, am I going to hit that thing? Is this something that's going to happen? How far away am I from it? Sometimes I'll even like math calms me down. I don't know why it does, but I'll be like, okay, well, I think I'm going to make this much based on my RPMs from ads. So I'll reduce that. Okay, well, then I still have to make this much more. So now for that much more, this is my usual affiliate. So I'll subtract that. Okay, now what's left? And that just keeps telling you, like, okay, here's how much is left. And you know how to make money once you've made your first like dollar or two even off your site, then you have to do more of that. And that's fine. So just plan to do more of it, basically. And yeah, it's also something good if you sell products or services. This will remind you to talk about them. You'll notice last year at the start of the year, I didn't talk about my services or my business that much. And I would forget to like re-suggest my own offerings, essentially. And I wouldn't really advertise them to people. I felt like I was bothering people. And then I realized, like, no, I have so many new people entering my sphere every day. Like, I need to remind them that these things exist. And the people who already have them, I talked to a couple and they were like, I don't really even notice when you do it because like I just go, oh, I have that, I'm good. So it's okay to do that. It's okay to advertise. And this will kind of help remind you when you need to do that and make you feel a bit more comfortable with it. Because, like, let's be honest, a little bit of greed to motivate you is okay. Like, I know everyone's like, don't be greedy, don't be whatever. You can be greedy once in a while. It's fine. As long as you're like still nice and like helpful and whatnot. But like, if it can help you get over some insecurities, I think it's okay. So yeah, this is my business spreadsheet. I hope you guys had some fun planning it. If you are though, like looking at all of this and even seeing the $100,000 here and going, aha, no, like that's impossible. I really recommend checking out my SEO roadmap for travel bloggers course, where I do teach bloggers of every niche. It's just the examples are travel focused, but it has worked on all of my other sites, no matter the niche. And I will say better on them actually, because travel is a very, very hard niche. But in my SEO roadmap course, I teach you how to grow your site, to multi six figures. I talk about how to use SEO, affiliate marketing, digital products, and email to scale your business, and really focusing on building a community and a holistic strategy where your whole site functions together. Yeah, it's a really cool course. I really love it. And we actually do some planning like this and expense tracking in the course, where I walk people through like hiring and building a team and like growing your blog as a business, not just a blog that you do for fun. However, you do not need to start that way. I did not start that way. It is not a requirement of the course. You can always be your own writer if you want to. It's just part of, yeah, basically planning and structuring your business. So if you'd like to check that out, I have a link in the description below, but you can also find it at sheknowseo.co/SEO-roadmap, and then you'll get taken over there. It is $11.97, and yeah, I think you'll really, really enjoy it because it massively goes into all these things. And I've put everything that I've learned over the last 2 years, scaling my own blog to the point where I have consistent $20,000 to $30,000 months from ads and affiliates and a few like I have a $7 product on that site, and emails as well, and then sponsored links. So you can check that out. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in there. Bye.